Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 11 of Journaling on a Budget, starting over. And today we are going to make some really easy tags for our journals. And you can also make cards this way or just other little pieces of artwork, ATCs, whatever you'd like. So to start with, I got this in Inner Reflections engagement calendar. It's a 2015 calendar, and I picked it up at a secondhand store. And it just has some really beautiful pictures in it. And so I just wanted to, that's what I picked it up for, was to use it. Look at that. That is gorgeous. As a matter of fact, I think we are going to, I'm not going to use that one because the tags that I'm making today are this size. And so I want it to be a little bigger than that. Maybe we'll make a tag that goes that way at some point with that. But yeah, just gorgeous pictures. So I picked it up thinking it would make great tags, great collage bits, and that type of thing because of the beautiful colors. And I think it goes really nicely with our journal because our journal really does have a lot of pretty bright colors in it. And so I think that we'll make some tags. We'll decide what we're going to use them for and where they're going to go a little later on. But for right now, we are just going to, I got to find my glue stick. Here it is. We're going to just make a few tags. So to start with, I think the thing I'm going to start with is, and I'm going to just do it in here. I have 4 tags here that I had a file folder that I was using. This was extra part of it. And so I just took them, cut them into a size that I thought would make a nice tag, and set them aside for later. And today is later. So I have some line stamps here. These are both line stamps that I've made. This one is just spaced a little further than this one. This one's a little wider than this one. I just take a piece of cardboard, whatever size I have, draw a line on it with a pencil, put a little bit of tacky glue across, probably 4 or 5 lines. Then I take a piece of string and just stretch it onto there and just let it sit until it's completely dry. And then I cut off the ends. I don't try cutting it while it's still wet because that will make it shift and move. So, but these are what I use for my journaling stamps because I like, they don't make a real crisp line. The line that they make is much, it's just much more, it's a little broken, not so like in your face. And the first one that I want to make, as a matter of fact, I guess we'll do that one at a time because I have decided on the very first one and I loved this picture here. And so I am going to cut this out, and this is going to be our first tag. Now on the back of this is another pretty picture, so you have to think about that, which one you want to use, you know, because that's very pretty too. But I love the color in the sky. Not really that much of like a boat person, so I don't really want that picture, so I chose this one. All right, now one of the things I thought that we would do with this is I have one of my homemade stamps, and it is, I think that it looks a little bit like a shell. And so what I'm going to do, because it's a watery picture, I'm going to put this on the back before I put my lines on here. So I am just going to ink this up. Make sure I get ink everywhere. Hard to see because the last time I used it, it was with black stays on, so that is staying on. Alrighty. And I'm just going to put this right down in the corner. Let that sit there for just a second while I grab a piece of paper. And there we go. And I'm going to stamp off, see if I can wipe that off quick enough. Yes, whew. Because it's a slippery surface, I was able to wipe it off. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm stamping off onto another piece of paper. Not just because it's pretty, and actually it is pretty. I could use this for something else too, but I want that pattern. And I'm going to cut just a little bit around the outside of the stamp because I want to mask it off so I can put my lines on that tag now. And I'm going to do it a little bit bigger than the picture, because I do want to have just a little around the edge. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line it up basically, put it on there, and just let it set right there. Now, is this going to be, yep, this is big enough to cover the whole thing. And so I am going to use the thinner lines here and just ink this one up. Now, the thing about this is when you have the string is that right now I'm using the turquoise. If I were to, let's say, go to pink next, it probably would stamp in purple because this is going to soak into the strings a bit, and the color is going to kind of stay. You can stamp off a few times and that will help, but it doesn't always completely get rid of the color that you've put on there. Unless you've used StazOn, then if you use StazOn, which is a, what do they call it? It's a permanent ink, but it is, I can't think of it. It's not water-based anyways. So if you were to put water-based on top of StazOn, it wouldn't go anywhere. StazOn on top of water-based would not go anywhere. But if you put StazOn on top of StazOn, like a lot of times I'll do black lines, and then the next time I want to do brown lines, I'll put brown on there. Yeah, they're going to come out a brownish black because that brown is going to, okay, now the only thing is, pretty close to the top, I just kind of want it to be pretty straight. So I'm going to kind of try and line it up and then just give it a press. But yeah, both of the StazOns are the same type of ink, so the one will pick up the other. But that really doesn't usually bother me. Well, I didn't press quite hard enough right there. It's not going to be real fixable now. I'm just going to leave it. If you really want to fix it, I'll show you. You can kind of like just grab a little bit on your sponge and kind of go in there like that. It's a little bit different, but it finishes off your line for you. And our mask fell off, so now you can see what that looks like. So now the lines aren't going across the stamp, because here's what it would have looked like. And, you know, I mean, it looks okay, but I'd prefer not to have the lines on my little stamped part. So now we've got our lines on there, and I want to see about how big our picture is going to be. That's going to fit pretty perfect. Let me see. I think I might need just a little bit of the tan on there. And I am going to cut it with a cutter because I don't cut straight very well. Now, I know that this was the top of my book here, so I know that that line is straight. This line is not. Well, you can tell it's definitely not straight. But so whenever you're cutting, you always want to start with a straight line. I'm going to, I think, barely leave a little bit of that tan. I can always cut it off later. Now, I know that that is straight. This one, I'm just going to cut it off at the bottom because we're going to have to cut it off again anyways. But I cut it off at the bottom so that I would have a straight line there so I could do this side. There. Left a little tan on there, so if it's a little shy of the size of my thing, it'll be all right. I want to edge it with the blue, but I'm going to put this on first so that we can round the corners. And I'm thinking that I'm going to want to cut off the top and keep the bottom because I'm going to have to cut off just a little bit. So we're just going to, if you can get the glue stick open, and find something to put glue on because I forgot to bring a, I'm going to put the glue on the tag. And then you're going to want to let your glue dry just a little bit before you round your corners. Just so that it doesn't gunk up your, what do you call it? Yeah, punch. Alrighty, so we've got our glue in there. Oh, I need to make sure the right side up. Yep, there's our bottom. Move that over a little bit. And I wanted to kind of keep the bottom, so I'm going to do that part first. There we go. And I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back. I did trim the edges off, and now I'm just going to round the corners. I do have to say I like this punch. This is a Becky Higgins punch. It doesn't say who the maker is. I like it because it has 3 different size corners on it. But there we go, and that's really pretty. And then just take a little bit just to finish it off. Just put a little bit of the ink around the edges. And then you could also put a word on it, which would look nice. I'm going to put ink along the back side also, where it really is going to show up better. And there we go. So now we have a really nice journaling spot. We have a really pretty card. And I think a word would be really nice on there. And when I go to put it in the journal, I can decide then what I want to put on it. So that was just super simple. Now, I do have this beautiful book with all these smaller pictures in it. But let's say you don't have a pretty book with smaller pictures. If you've been crafting for a while, you've probably kept a few calendars here and there. If not, we're already 8 months into the year. You could go back to the beginning of this year's calendar and look at those pictures. Now, I have another one here. This one's really pretty. Breathtaking Views from 2009, 2010. And this one has a lot of pictures that, like this barn would be really nice. And this is really cute here with a little, almost looks like a little fairy house. And, you know, so this one has, now that one's not the best, but this one has a lot of smaller areas that you could use for a card. Or, I mean, for a tag. Oh, that is gorgeous. That is beautiful. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I'm going to do something. But yes, you could pick out little areas for your tag that would look nice. This one with the lighthouse, isn't that gorgeous? So, you know, this one has easy, oh, and then even at the front, we've got all of these smaller pictures that you could use to make tags with. But you say, well, all mine has is great, big, huge pictures, you know, so I can't, you know, I can't really use it. And the thing is, you really can. Now, these make really nice little tuck-ins, so don't forget those parts. But, you know, if you just look at what you have, now here we've got this one flower in the middle of that cactus, and you could use that just like that. But even when you go like with the sunflower, I like the way that they look if you do them like this, and you wind up with just something like that. And that looks really pretty. So even though they're great big flowers, and you could do right in the center, but I prefer to make sure that I have some green. And if you look at this one like this, and it would look like that. And it just, they really are pretty. So even if you have great big huge pictures and you think they're just not going to work, you know, I would pick this one instead of like in this corner where there's a whole lot of yellow. I would maybe pick like down in this area where I've got some of the yellow and some of the green. Again, a little bit of contrast. And aren't those pretty? So you don't have to have something that, let's just do this one right here. So I am just going to get a hold of it. See, now that one would also make a really pretty tag. Let's just go ahead and I'm going to put this on here. And I'm going to just cut it a little bit big. I always like to cut things a little bit big if I can. And that way I don't have to worry about getting the edges lined up perfectly. Let's put this one right over there. And so we're just going to put this in this area. We'll have a little bit of the green. We'll have the dark center. And this part of the file folder has the little ridges on it. Not sure if you can see that or not, but that's okay. That's not going to hurt anything. So I'm going to just put some glue on here and then put that tag on there. I would put some glue on here. Here it is, if I could find it. Uh-oh, we're really almost out of glue. I'm just going to get that on there. Make sure you get the edges well. But you want to get the center too so you don't have like air pockets in there. There we go. And just put it over here. And just make sure that it's covering our cardstock. And then trim it off. So calendars make a great supply of pictures for tags, for background in your journals, for card fronts. They really are just a really nice thing to keep around. And, you know, at the time of year when they're doing them, you know, pretty much a lot of people have them, you know, hanging out at your doctor's office or your dentist or wherever. So this one, we'll go ahead and we'll use the larger line stamp on it. Do I have something? Let's see. Let's go ahead just for the heck of it. Let's try this one in, I think, yeah, I have spiced marmalade. And hopefully it won't be really dark. I don't remember what color I used last with this, but I think it was Stays On, which means it should not come off with this. And do we want this one maybe up in the corner or back down in the bottom? Let's do this one up here. Why not? And then we'll stamp it off on here and cut it out. Again, just a touch bigger. But if you want your lines to go right up to the edge of your stamp, you can cut it right on the edge. There we go. And then just kind of see where it lines up if you can. If not, it's a circle. It's not going to make that much of a difference. I believe it goes just like that. So then I'm going to kind of put this here, knowing that I need lines down to about this spot. And just make sure that you get it on there as well as you can. It's another reason that I like using these stamps. If it's got a little spot missing here or there, it doesn't really matter because that's the way it stamps in general. So just kind of line it up so hopefully it's straight. And this time, try and make sure that I push down each one of the lines to make contact with our card so we don't have a blank spot in the middle. But if we do, it's not going to hurt a thing. There we go. And see, those lines are even wider, not just wider space-wise, but the thread. This was, I think that this was, what do they call that? Butcher twine or whatever. And this is string. So it made wider lines on this one, even wider gaps because I gapped it further, but wider lines just in how wide the lines were. So there's that. And give that a little bit of a dry. Get that out of the way. You should wait a little bit for your glue to dry a little more, just so you don't gunk up your punch. Now you do want to make sure that your little punches come out of there before you punch your next corner, because they'll kind of get in the way and your corner may not punch correctly. So then I'm just going to, do I have, sponge. Yes, I do have an orange sponge. Here we go. Just go around this one just to give it that little finishing touch. And there we go. That is that tag. We can go around here. It's not really going to show, but the one thing it will do is it will make sure that our edges are not white. There we go. So now we have that one and that one. So that's just how easy it is to make your own tags. You can go ahead and use the washi tape that we made last week and put that on your tags. You know, just anything that you have, collage them up. But I just kind of wanted to show you a super simple, easy way to make a tag. And then you can put a word on there. And let's see. What do I have for words? Ooh. Beautiful or lovely for this one. I think we'll do beautiful on that one. And I'm just going to, whoops. See, my scissors got sticky because I cut those before they were the glue was dry. So you definitely don't want to do that to your punch. So that goes to show you scissors are fairly easy to clean. But I wonder if I could punch this. I think I made it too small. Let me see. Here it is. Can I get it in there? I can. Go ahead and try and get all four corners. Oh yeah, that makes it fun. There. Just looks a little bit better than just plain old square. A lot of times, if you don't have a corner punch and you don't want to try and cut these teeny tiny corners, I just go ahead and I cut the words just at a funny shape instead of just square. I just kind of cut it out squiggly. But I think that that goes really nice right there. And I don't really want anything to take away from it. You know, you could put lace under it or something. I really think I like it there, but that leaves the top a little blank. But I like it there anyways. Yeah, I do. I like it down there the best, so that's where I'm going to put it. You just have to kind of try it out and see what you like. And then just go with it. I think maybe I like it there because it's got the turquoise around the edges. Now it's a little bit stark white, so I'm just going to kind of, hopefully not ruin it, go in and just kind of ruin it. There we go. Not as pretty as it was, but get a little bit of my paint water here and see if maybe I can lighten it a little bit. You know, I can always go back in and put another word on top of it if I really decide that I don't like it. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry because now, but I did get a little bit of the color off of it. Now it is, it's wet, so it's still dark, but I think it might lighten up a little bit. And I didn't have the really, I don't have the really stark line there anymore, which I really didn't like. So there we go. There are our two super easy cards, and you can make so many of them that way and so many different things. So don't forget, save your calendars. It is a great thing to use for so many different things. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.